Hello. During an on-site visit to the Xinjihoda Hotel Supplies Wholesale Market, which has been in operation since 2003, we found that it is located near major export ports, such as Nansha Port and Huangpu Port. The market offers both budget-friendly hotels and upscale, star-rated hotels. The entire commercial district covers approximately 500,000 square meters and features over 4,000 retail units, bringing together thousands of manufacturers and suppliers, as well as nearly 1,000 brand retailers. A comprehensive selection of hotel supplies and over 1 million home goods are available here, with a customer base spanning more than 200 countries worldwide. At the 2 annual sessions of the Canton Fair, held in spring and autumn, and at more than 200 renowned trade shows across over 30 countries on 5 continents, Xinjiang has left a strong mark as it expands its market presence, holding a leading position in the domestic and international hotel supplies industry. The product range includes tableware, disposable items, kitchen equipment and supplies, cleaning supplies, bathroom amenities, hotel furniture, specialty appliances, hotel uniforms, lobby furnishings, and guest room amenities. Hotel storage solutions, interior design and decoration, hotel linens, glassware, stainless steel products, ceramic and porcelain tableware, lobby and guest room supplies, coffee and beverages, bakery equipment, cleaning and safety supplies. The product clusters span regions such as Foshan, Dongguan, Zhongshan, Chaozhou, Guangzhou, Zhejiang, and Shandong. For example, the plumbing industry is concentrated in Shuka Town, Kaiping City, Jiangmen. Hotel furniture is produced in Longjiang Town, Foshan, while ceramic and porcelain-like tableware is produced in Chaozhou. When you walk through a hotel supplies wholesale market, all you see are the shops and products. But what truly determines the success of your purchasing is what you can't see. When it comes to purchasing hotel supplies, every product category has its own independent supply chain, and behind every supply chain lie risks that may not be immediately apparent. Many people think that procurement is simply about finding products, comparing prices, and placing orders, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's start with the most basic textiles. Hotel towels and linens undergo hundreds of industrial washes at temperatures exceeding 60 degrees Celsius every year. Many hotel supplies buyers place orders simply because the samples feel good to the touch and the price is right. 3 months later, the towels had pilled, the sheets had thinned and yellowed, and the pillowcases had shrunk and no longer fit properly. The problem wasn't poor product quality. It was that these items simply weren't designed for industrial laundering. In mid-range hotels, pillowcases are generally expected to withstand at least 100 to 120 washes. In high-end properties, the standard is 200 washes or more. This is a strict technical requirement, not a matter of personal preference. Whether a restaurant is purchasing napkins or a hospital is purchasing surgical gowns, this factor does not need to be taken into account. Only for hotel supplies must the number of washes be a key purchasing criterion. Many people think there's no harm in buying something cheaper. They'll just have to replace it a few more times. But we've run the numbers for our customers. A towel that can be washed 100 times versus one that can only be washed 50 times. If the latter costs half as much as the former, it might seem like a wash. But in reality, it isn't. Exchanging the item involves labor costs, the risk of temporary stock shortages, and the fact that customers will see the towel getting thinner and thinner during that time. The price on the tag is never what you actually pay. This applies to textiles as well as to other product categories you purchase. The dissatisfaction that hotel guests perceive and experience can amplify the hotel's losses. If a factory purchases the wrong raw materials, it's at most an internal loss that can be resolved behind closed doors. But if a hotel buys bedding or toiletries of inconsistent quality, this decision will appear as a review on TripAdvisor or Google, visible to every potential guest considering a booking. In the hospitality industry, booking failures are public, permanent, and amplified by algorithms. Negative reviews don't just disappear. They continue to affect your booking conversion rates for months or even years to come. In no other industry is the link between supply quality and revenue loss so direct. Quality issues aren't always one-time occurrences. Sometimes they creep up on you. Suppliers may switch raw materials, contract manufacturers, or formulas without notifying you. This is very common in the Chinese supply chain, especially for buyers with small purchase volumes and limited bargaining power. Guests will notice that the towels feel different and that the toiletries smell off, and they'll mention these things in their reviews. The weight of the towels, the scent of the toiletries, and the texture of the bedding are all factors that guests consider when evaluating the quality of your hotel. We require our suppliers to conduct rigorous inspections of every shipment, and any changes must be approved. There's another risk that many people overlook. Non-compliant formulations, undeclared ingredients, and packaging labels that do not meet the importing country's requirements. Any of these could lead to customer complaints about allergies, intervention by health authorities, and serious repercussions for your business license. If the office buys substandard desks, no customers will complain about it or mention it in their reviews. However, hotels are different. Guest amenities come into direct contact with strangers, and the risks associated with operations, regulation, and reputation exist simultaneously and compound one another. When sourcing supplies, we require suppliers to provide a complete list of ingredients, safety data sheets, and proof of compliance with the target market's regulations, serving as a safeguard for you. In the hotel supplies industry, there is another issue with an approaching deadline. The European Union and certain U.S. states have already begun enacting legislation to restrict or ban the use of single-use plastic toiletries in hotels. Once the regulations take effect in your market, all guest rooms must be converted simultaneously. There will be no grace period. If we wait until then to find an alternative supplier, we'll either be unable to find a suitable one or end up paying a premium far higher than normal. If your current supplier is still manufacturing single-use plastic bottles, your partnership already has a known end date. There's a significant difference in cost between proactively switching over in advance and being forced to switch over as an emergency measure due to regulations. The difference between a boutique hotel and an ordinary hotel sometimes comes down to the few bottles of toiletries in the bathroom. Toiletries bearing your hotel's name and signature scent create a completely different experience for guests than generic products labeled with an unfamiliar brand. Guests will take photos, post them on social media, and mention these details in their reviews. The value of this touchpoint far exceeds its cost. However, most factories require a minimum order of 5,000 pieces for custom branding, while you only need 300. This barrier has caused many small property management companies to simply give up on custom branding. We consolidate orders from multiple clients so that each one can obtain products bearing their own brand at a reasonable cost. Brand customization is merely a microcosm of the procurement challenges faced by small-scale properties. The more fundamental issue lies in the volume of procurement itself. A 20-room bed and breakfast has just as many items to purchase as a 200-room hotel. However, your purchasing volume determines your standing in the eyes of suppliers. Access to quality products, reasonable prices, and a stable supply should not be the exclusive privilege of large-scale buyers. We consolidate orders from a dozen or so small property management companies, allowing each one to access terms that are normally reserved for large clients. Star ratings are another often overlooked constraint in procurement. The rating agency has clear specifications for guest room amenities, with specific standards covering everything from bedding to the types of bathroom amenities. Purchasing substandard products isn't about saving money. It's about taking on a risk that comes at a much higher cost. Your star rating directly affects your visibility on OTA platforms, the price range you can list, and your eligibility to operate in certain markets. In most industries, buyers set their own quality standards. In the hospitality industry, these standards are set by external organizations and are subject to regular audits. When developing procurement plans for our clients, We carefully review each item against the evaluation criteria for the target star rating to ensure that every product category meets or exceeds the required standards. Now that we've covered the products, let's talk about the supply chain logic behind them. Most of these businesses are middlemen or authorized brand dealers. The business cards you receive will not include the factory's address or name, and it's up to you to decide whether to purchase after receiving a quote. There are also some factory direct stores whose business cards list the factory address. Many people assume that finding a factory direct store means they've found a good source of goods. The advantage of intermediaries and distributors is that they are skilled at running a business and have built up a long-standing network of customer relationships and market experience. However, they lack the capacity to conduct systematic screening across tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of factories. Their relationship with the factory is based on long-standing habits, shared interests, and experience-based judgment, rather than an objective assessment of the factory's overall capabilities. Factory direct stores guarantee that you're getting products straight from the source, but they offer no assurance that the factory in question has a competitive edge over its peers. There are likely thousands of factories in China's industrial clusters that specialize in hotel towels alone, and even more that produce toiletries. A factory direct store represents just one of those thousands. The true role of a procurement agent is to systematically screen through these tens of thousands of factories to identify the most suitable one based on the client's specific requirements. This process includes analyzing customer needs, identifying target industrial clusters, accessing the supplier database, creating a long list, and verifying the details of each supplier one by one. Filtering by overall score, on-site factory inspections, sample disassembly, and testing. After conducting a comprehensive analysis and screening process to identify the best factory, we then proceed to the stages of negotiation, contract signing, order tracking, inspection, and shipment. Only after going through this entire process will you truly know what price to quote and which factory to choose. This is why many clients ask for a quote right off the bat, yet we are often unable to provide one immediately. It's not that we're avoiding the issue. It's just that without going through the process described above, any quote provided on short notice will be based on unfounded figures. Even if past clients have gone through this process, each client's needs are different, so the screening details will naturally vary, and the process must be repeated. This process requires a significant amount of time and collaboration across multiple departments, and the costs involved are quite high, sometimes even exceeding the purchase price of the products themselves. Many of these non-professional procurement agents come from diverse backgrounds. Some are former translators, others have worked in international trade or the transportation industry, and still others take on projects through freelance platforms. However, when it comes to complex processes such as factory screening, product specifications, and quality control, due to a lack of professional expertise, they often only assist you with a basic procurement transaction. You may think the cost is low, but in reality, you don't understand the professional procurement process or what its core principles are. When it comes to product pricing, many people tend to choose the factory with the lowest prices, but this is often not the best choice. The reason is simple. It's basic business logic. The lowest price means compromises have to be made somewhere. It could be the raw materials, the manufacturing process, quality control, delivery times, or discrepancies between samples and mass production, or even the supplier going out of business. Pricing is based on cost considerations. Factories are businesses, not charities. When evaluating factories, we look at risk management capabilities, production management standards, quality control systems, delivery reliability, cash flow status, communication and response efficiency, and production capacity alignment, consistency across batches, willingness to collaborate, corporate culture, and social responsibility. Price is just one factor among many. The factory that's truly right for you isn't the one with the lowest quote, nor is it the most expensive one. Rather, it's the one that, after rigorous screening and comprehensive analysis across all the aforementioned criteria, meets your needs in every respect. Purchasing hotel supplies often involves multiple categories. One supplier for bedding, another for toiletries, and yet another for cleaning supplies. Every supplier requires you to negotiate prices, inspect samples, track shipments, and reconcile accounts, and make payments. All that time adds up, time you should be spending on running your business and serving your customers. Moreover, conducting procurement on one's own requires specialized expertise, and it also introduces additional risks related to quality and the supply chain. Professional procurement agents handle centralized purchasing, which does more than just consolidate shipping costs. It also frees you from the time-consuming task of managing suppliers every month. Aligning warehouse capacity with purchase volumes. Suppliers' minimum order quantities are based on their production logic, not on your warehouse capacity. You want to get the bulk price, but you can't store that much inventory. If you place an order based on what you can store, the unit price goes up. We help our customers place orders at bulk prices to meet the discount threshold, and then ship in batches based on actual inventory turnover. Regarding the restocking cycle, wear and tear and washing-related shrinkage are relatively predictable. Vacant on weekdays, fully booked on weekends, peak and off-peak seasons, and items guests take home. These fluctuations in occupancy rates cause demand for consumables to fluctuate wildly, based on fluctuations in occupancy rates and structural attrition. We help our clients customize replenishment mechanisms. Restock in advance before the peak season and reduce restocking during the off-season. Set a minimum safety stock level for critical supplies. Maintain primary suppliers for customers and establish backup suppliers to avoid losses caused by supply disruptions. Finally, there is the product's shelf life. The shelf life of products as indicated by the manufacturer is typically 18 months. However, the process from order placement through production, shipment, customs clearance, and warehousing often takes 2 to 3 months. When a shipment arrived, there were still 15 to 16 months left on the shelf life. That sounds like it should be enough, but when you factor in the uncertainty caused by fluctuations in occupancy rates, ordering too much at once could result in some of the inventory expiring before it's used up. You need to carefully calculate how much to order, when to order, and how many batches to place. Hotel supplies procurement impacts your reputation, star rating, time, costs, and compliance risks. Every step of the process deserves careful attention. Every item placed in a guest room speaks for your hotel. That is precisely why we take this task so seriously. Map coordinate distribution of factories for various products in China. The detailed information for each factory map coordinate contains over 100 items. All factory information is then scored across these dimensions. Rigorously select the best factories from a massive pool of factories. How can I help you? Goodbye.